So Hello Neighbor might be one of those things you wouldn't expect to really hear about in 2025. The game's had a pretty terrible online reputation for years, but that did not stop it. They hopped on that grind and they never stopped. They never looked back. There's 2 seasons of a show, a Dead by Daylight, Among Us-like game, an engineering car building game released on the world-renowned Google Stadia. There's been a prequel, a VR game, a lot of merchandise, Hello Neighbor 1 and Hello Neighbor 2. You would think maybe they're done, but you're wrong. Hello Neighbor 3 has been announced, as well as a Hello Neighbor movie. And what's interesting about this current time for Hello Neighbor is at a really pivotal point when it comes to the future of this series. The public reputation of this thing is not great among older players, and with younger players, it seems to be losing a lot of relevancy due to the increased competition in that market. But already with these releases, I can't say people look optimistic. People already do not trust this game to deliver because of the sheer amount of disappointments Hello Neighbor has caused. So we really need to just take a look at how we got to this point, how these games hold up in 2025, and can it be salvaged, or is Hello Neighbor on life support? Where is this going? But first, a huge thanks to today's sponsor, Manscaped. With the confidence of over 12 million men worldwide, it's pretty apparent that Manscaped has mastered the art of making superior men's grooming and hygiene tools. Once again, they're providing top-tier quality with their latest grooming and hygiene bundle, the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Electric Trimmer. And it's not just men who benefit from their products, their quality is so top tier that it's really a must-have for anybody. With the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, they've taken precision grooming to a whole new level. With their next-gen dual skin-safe blade heads, with an upgraded trimmer blade that's tough on hair, and the interchangeable foil blade to give you a smooth, bare finish. It's like getting 2 trimmers, but paying for 1. It also has an LED light with a dual temperature feature, so it's able to perfectly light multiple skin tones. And it's waterproof. Coming with the package is the Weed Whacker 2.0 for if you feel like you don't want to grow out your nose and ear hairs. Don't blame you. To take your self-care routine to the next level, the package also comes with the Crop Soother and Crop Preserver. The Crop Soother is enriched with colloidal oats, shea butter, and cocoa seed butter to give you the ultimate comfort aftershave. For an extra touch of freshness, the Crop Preserver is going to help you stay feeling clean and confident all day. Now, all of this is great, but there's actually more. When you buy the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, you'll receive 2 free gifts, the Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0, which is super handy for keeping all of your grooming gear organized. You can head on over to manscaped.com and get your hands on the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra today. When you use my promo code Savantics, you'll get 20% off, plus free international shipping, and 2 free gifts. That's 20% off, plus free shipping, and 2 free gifts with my promo code Savantics. Thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to Hello Neighbor. Hello Neighbor was announced back in that era on YouTube where mascot horror was really starting to emerge as this successful genre, with book series attached and tons of little breadcrumbs of lore ready for people to theorize upon, was a newer concept. With its initial pre-alphas and early alphas, a lot of YouTubers were covering the game and they were really excited to see how this thing would develop into a full idea. There was something that stood out about this game. You have the neighbor, your goal was to get into his basement. He's a strange dude who lives alone and has a very strange house. I mean, God knows whatever he had in his basement wasn't gonna be good, so it was intriguing. You wanted to know what was down there. It being a horror game was obviously more captivating because then you could also assume something really twisted was going on, right? It let your imagination and the theories go crazy. And a huge thing about this game that was pulling people in was the fact that the neighbor was supposed to be a very smart AI that would hunt the player down and learn from the player's mistakes. It had 3 modes: hunt mode, stalk mode, and the idle mode, where the neighbor just sat around, watched TV, or sat on his porch contemplatively, questioning where the time went. How did his youth evade him? Should he have tried to make it work with that person 19 years ago? Don't know, don't care. We were too busy trying to break into the neighbor's house. And when the full release dropped for Hello Neighbor 1, people were immensely disappointed. One of the key reasons is that the neighbor's AI, which was supposed to be very smart, was actually pretty stupid. And the game in general just had a lot of bugs. The bugs are so bad in Hello Neighbor 1 that I actually had a hard time completing some of the puzzles because of them. There's a puzzle where this wheel is obviously important. You know, you gotta use it in different areas, but I spent so long second guessing myself when I put the wheel in this specific spot. When I went to actually turn the wheel, it just wouldn't. The use key was bugging out, so I spent a lot of time running around the map trying to figure out what to do with it, but then eventually I started Googling to confirm, and I was right. That is what you're supposed to do with the wheel. wheel. The AI being rough and bugs being there didn't really faze people in the alphas because that's pre-release, right? You expect those to be there. If you expect an alpha to be without its issues, I mean, that's on you. If it's playable and it has a few things here and there, it's fine. But the full release of this thing had a lot. Some people actually say that the bugs add charm to the game. I do get that, but when it's actually impacting your ability to complete things, or it's unfairly terminating you, no. Early on in development, the game had a very different vibe than what was actually released. It seemed scarier, it felt more mysterious, and felt like it came with more risk. So when the full game finally released, and you can see a huge visual shift from what we first started out with, combined with the fact that the neighbor himself wasn't really that scary, people started feeling like there was a failure to live up to the horror game standard. A lot of people felt like it shifted to being more of a platformer instead, full of puzzles that were so convoluted without really any guideline on where to go or what to do, that it felt like some of them were just there to pad out runtime. Now for me personally, it wasn't the puzzles I felt that were padding out the runtime in this game, it was how long the neighbor took to climb up this ladder. Like, this is the scariest thing about Hello Neighbors, how slow this man is. I tried to see if you could go up past him. You can't, you just have to watch him get to the top. Now, when you'd go to do the puzzles around the neighbor's house, he would interrupt you a lot. He's chasing you, he's trying to stop you from breaking into his basement or escaping his property. Just, he doesn't want you calling the homeowners association on him. So he's gonna do all he can to ensure that. It felt personal, and you could see him taking out his rage right here. But when the neighbor would interrupt your puzzles, instead of it feeling scary or challenging, it often more so just felt like an annoyance because there weren't any real consequences. Your progress would more or less be saved. You would just have to go back to where you were. Getting caught wasn't that risky. It wasn't that scary. It was more so just setting you back a little bit with how long it would take to complete it. Instead of him being an enemy I was avoiding, there were times where I would just try to run into him to get things over with and out of the way so I could just move on. Because there's many times in the game, especially Act 2, where either you're not going to get away from him because he has you cornered, or it's going to take too long for you to lose him, or he's somewhere you need to go and it's going to take too long for him to leave. So it's just better to run into him, and it's not like the jump scares are scary half the time. See, in a horror game, your enemy should not be your mercy, but he is. Getting caught is less terrifying than spending an unnecessary amount of time watching the neighbor climb up a ladder. There was an over-reliance on really repetitive mechanics like, as people infamously say, box stacking. A lot of people call this thing a box stacking simulator because a lot of times to get from point A to point B, you have to stack boxes. It could have been diversified a bit, like there should have been a better implementation of different things you could do instead of just doing the same thing over and over again. People felt the game felt empty. There's this huge house, which is a character in itself. When you see something like this, it really incentivizes you to explore. You want to see what secrets are here. You want to notice Easter eggs. You want to see detail. And the game really missed that. A lot of the rooms are barren. People were expecting more quality from this thing. But instead of really improving the game and adding more quality to it, the series looked at quality and quantity, and it decided on quantity. And with these next releases and the kids' book series and the merchandise, a lot of older players felt completely abandoned, like, okay, this probably isn't for me. For most of the internet, they just viewed Hello Neighbor as another example of falling from grace. And this reputation of the game certainly wasn't helped by the MatPat incident. They decided to spam MatPat on Twitter, asking for him to theorize about their show. And it just reeked of desperation. I'm sure many people already know about this incident. While it may seem really stupid and small, it was pretty pivotal in how people viewed this thing. It basically solidified for a lot of people in their mind that the Hello Neighbor series itself is not about delivering quality, it is about being theory bait. This incident convinced people that they would not find quality in this series. It's a tweet, it's completely removed from the developer side of things, but it just wasn't a good look. Now, after some of their minor releases, eventually Hello Neighbor 2 was announced, and this one's disappointment was catastrophic. See, there were some big promises here. A selling point of the game was its neural network AI, which basically means the AI would be trained based on all the people who play the game. So again, the AI was propped up to be this smart, very complicated entity. This information was pushed to people during the pre-order period. So people pre-ordered this game expecting a neural network AI. Problem is, full game released, there was no neural network. The AI was very basic. I mean, to the point where I stand on a ledge, the thing is too scared to touch me. The neighbor would run a marathon to catch me if he had to in the first game. But in Hello Neighbor 2, if I just stand on something slightly too high up for his comfort, he just leaves me alone. Same with all the other townspeople. The game opens up and the first house with someone trying to stop you is the cop's house. I couldn't help but notice once I was in this house that it already felt like it was just a lot of waiting for people to leave. I had to go in a closet and wait for minutes while the cop fixed his jacket in front of me, just hoping he would leave. He never did leave either, so I just had to walk out to my death. And this game also was not very intimidating. It didn't really feel like a horror game. The scariest thing was the fact that the baker just really liked to sniff me for some reason. Like, what is she smelling? And you look at the quality of this thing, the price for the base game and the price for the DLC is just too high. The last stage with the neighbor was really bugged out for me. Couldn't really do anything to him. I couldn't get his wrench, which is necessary to get to the next part. And also he couldn't get me. So it was a bit of a stalemate and I honestly don't remember how I got out of that. It was really frustrating because I was like right there at the end of the game and it decided to do that. Obviously the fans deserved better, and after letdown like this and false promises, it really damaged community trust, and it's not like there's been any releases that have really built this trust back. There were things about the first game people were unhappy about, like the convoluted puzzles and the game not telling you where to go, that ended up being corrected when this game came out. There's a much clearer sense of direction and understanding what you have to do in Hello Neighbor 2, and while the game does have its bugs, it is a little bit more reliable than the first one, and many people liked the graphics upgrade. So if they just marketed this thing honestly, considering what they would actually be able to achieve, instead of over-promising and under-delivering, this game might have actually been seen as an example of a studio listening to the fans and making improvements. It actually could have been seen as a positive thing, but they didn't do that. They doomed the thing to failure by setting the expectations far above what they could actually achieve. Now let's look at the new release they're working on, Hello Neighbor 3. Hello Neighbor 3's description on Steam says, "A cozy yet eerie adventure where every path is the right one, and every action leads to discovery. Explore and influence Ravenbrooks, a half-abandoned town simulated in real time." Where some questions come into play would be where they say, every path is the right one, because this sort of freedom to choose your direction was promised in Hello Neighbor 2, and that didn't end up happening.
Be placed in an open-world sandbox environment where the entire town of Ravenbrooks is your playground.
So with Hello Neighbor 3, there was a prototype that just released recently, and on the starting screen it says, "Do not read. This is internal prototype for testing basic AI behavior and gameplay loop. Does not represent the final game." So, but I decided to watch a lot of playthroughs of it, and I gotta say, when your whole prototype is about the AI behavior and the gameplay loop, and then I'm watching 8-Bit Ryan's playthrough, and then this just happens back to back, it's just a little silly. Because it's a prototype, everything can be changed. The final game could look nothing like this, and especially because it's Hello Neighbor, it's probably not gonna look anything like this. So this thing, Hello Guest, was a pre-alpha to Hello Neighbor 2. This is the thing chasing you, this is the setting you're in, and then this is what Hello Neighbor 2 actually was. While the game might look like this right now, in about 4 months or so, when the pre-order's announced, it could look like Papa Louie, and then, I don't know, another 2 months later when the game is actually released. They've scrapped everything, it's actually now Overwatch. So far already, initial receptions to it are pretty mixed. Some people seem to be really excited. Others say that the series is going in the wrong direction, that it's really not about the neighbor anymore, or about the things that initially sparked interest, and they've just abandoned that for an aspect of the story that they don't really care about. As for right now, we don't have much information about the movie. All we know is that somebody who worked on the FNAF movie is also working on this one. Will I be seeing this in theaters? Absolutely. Will I be enjoying what I see in theaters? That's another question. Movies based on video games have a terrible track record of disappointing people. Some are great, but there's just too many that have let people down. And then also, Hello Neighbor doesn't have a good track record of not disappointing people either, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But maybe it's like 2 negatives make a positive, right? Maybe it'll actually be a Best Picture winner. We do not know. So currently the series is in a really interesting spot, because while they have disappointed a lot of people in the past, there is a chance they could live up to expectations with this next one and become a story of turning things around and listening to the community. If they do not, they're cooked. Now, I like to look at this optimistically. I do hope things work out for them. If they don't, we will be back here in a few months. But yeah, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.